Let's go, my friends. Seaferry Cookie gets a nice buff here today, and we are going back through our gear guide so we can get an updated version here of the legendary Seaferry Cookie. On top of that, as the #1 free-to-play player, one of the nicest things is this is actually one of the few high-level ascensions that I have from playing so long, and I'm sure that's many of you as well. I've seen some of that in the comments as well, so thank you everyone as always, and thank you for your support. So with that, today we're going to break everything down that you need to know about Seaferry Cookie here, and how this is going to go. We'll walk through this as we always do: Beascuits, toppings, tarts, all that fun stuff. And then we'll go for the run like we always do. So let's get into it here today. Again, we got Seaferry Cookie here, a level 90. Yes, so excited. One of our original legendaries. We got a bomber, middle laner, element of water. Okay, couple things here. We do have this moveset, Soaring Compassion, 16 seconds, quite a long cooldown. Fires a stream of water, inflicting damage and stunning 5 closest enemies. Targets cookies first. After a certain time, full moon shaped pool of water created underneath the targets bursts up with the power of eternity, dealing heavy damage, my friends. Now, on top of that, we got Soaring Compassion, water stream damage there, 150%, water pillar damage, 600, and then stun at 3 seconds there, and endless flow water type damage plus 7%, attack minus 10% for 9 seconds, stacks up to 1 time. Okay, so lots of damage there. Again, water elemental specific type damage. And then additionally here, we have to go in and look at our Seaferry Crystal Jam. So nice as always. Let's go ahead and get these upgrades in. If you caught that, we'll go back and do it again. You can see there's a number of things: Rising Tide, Tidal Wave, Tears of Yearning, and all ally water type is going up from 14 to 15. So let's see if we can make that happen. Nice, second try, totally solid there. Up to level 15. So each pieces of these are super huge. Additionally, as you continue to move along with your ascension effects, we're going to get one more last nice boost with Seaferry here. And then additionally, on these different pieces, once we hit 20, we're going to get some more stuff. So we'll come back to that here in a second, because we want to look through this as well. So the rally effect here: select Seaferry Cookie equipped with the Crystal Gem as the leader to activate it. So make sure you do that. Additionally here, power of blue waves, all water type damage plus 37%, all water type crit damage plus 10%, and water type cookies plus 20%. So we're getting a very huge boost here just for water type cookies. Very important for the latest and greatest boss. Yes, exactly. If you caught that video, we do have that available to you, or any of that kind of PvE or PvP, where you can take advantage of the water type elemental. Now, here we have Seaferry Cookie's overwhelming feelings towards the moon empower her abilities to control the sea. She summons Rising Tide and Tidal Waves that deal damage to enemies, reducing their defense and increasing water type damage taken. Additionally, they will increase the team's water type damage. Rising Tide and Tidal Waves push enemies back, stun them, and deal additional damage to summoned creatures and targets with reduced defense. Tidal Waves leave Tears of Yearning in their wake. Tears of Yearning pull enemies in, dealing damage after a certain period of time. Tears of Yearning explode, dealing damage. So here we have the Rising Tide at 214%. Rising Tide stun at 3 seconds. Water type crit damage there at 17%. Stacks up for 12 seconds. Stacks up to 1 time. Defense there for 1. Water type damage 15 seconds. Stacks up to 1. Endless flow, all that other stuff there. Extra damage to summon creatures here as well, 466%. Extra damage to defense reduced targets by 40%. So if you do have defense reduction effects in place, this is going to deal even more damage. We have Tidal Waves. Tidal Waves 3 hits over 3 seconds, 150%. Tidal Wave stun right there at 3 seconds. Extra damage to summon creatures, same thing there. Tears of Yearning, 35%, 0.5% attack for 0.5 seconds, and then Tears of Explosion, again, of attack. And then last but not least here, we have Ocean Depths, water type cookie attack plus 15%, plus 3% per water type cookie on the team, capped at 30%. So if you have a bunch of other water type cookies in there, you're going to get even more damage. At level 10 here, we get damage resist bypass at 35%, and then we get Rising Tide silence at 1.5, Rising Tide extra damage, stun resistant, immune target, 185 at 20, and then at 30 we get that Tidal Rush cookies, 4% of max HP, damage, 63% of attack, and then Tears of Yearning stun there for 3 seconds. So very powerful there as you continue to work your way through on this cookie. We get a lot going on. Now, I do think the other thing that we should be aware of before I get into it are these in the community here. You can always find the notes, the news, and the update. 27 right here. We should have all the different pieces. Perfect. We do want to see some of the changes here and updates to Seaferry, because I think it is important to understand what's going on here as well. Let's see if we can find it. Level 300 effects. Guild battle tickets, Avatar Destiny. That might be in the next one. We're used to doing the notes in the Discord. All right, here we go. Here we go. Right there. Improvement, Seaferry Crystal Jam improvements here. The core strength of Seaferry Cookie's Crystal Jam came from stacking tidal wave effects to gain an enhanced version of her skill. However, it was difficult to utilize this at the desired moments of battles. This has been adjusted with a rising tide effect that will also reduce enemies' defense and create Tears of Yearning for greater damage output. Seaferry Cookie's rally effect will support water-type cookies by increasing the damage they deal to enemies in PvE. So very, very important there, my friends, from that perspective as well. And then improved Crystal Jam description here. Seaferry Cookie's overwhelming. We went through this so that you know. Rally effect here is what we're getting. Increased water-type damage, crit damage, and increased damage to enemies in PvE. And some of the Ascension effects, so we showed that has been changed. HP shield on self, and then Crystal Jam pieces right there. So those are some of the difference before and after, so that you could see that. We ran through that just so that you know, for historical sake. Let's go back now, because we are back at it with our Seaferry Cookie. Perfect. All right, so now what does this mean? Let's get into our biscuits. So a couple things on the biscuits here now. We can change up exactly what we're doing. You can watch the last episode as well. In this case, a couple things. We do have our water ones right here, as you can see. So my recommendation is, and these are relatively new, you can get them in Beast Yeast episode 1. If you're looking for other ways, check the video out here. However, we've given some pretty good notes regardless, so that's my big tip and trick there. Go to Beast Yeast. With that here, you do have the opportunity to get water type damage. And then additionally, we do have that damage resist bypass. So if you are going to play in the PvP, and some PvE does have that damage resist bypass, this is the spot that you're going to put it. I would focus on that water damage for sure when it comes to Seafarer, because everything is really focused on that, and PvE is really focused on that piece. So having more and more and more and more water damage or water type is going to deal better damage. And we do talk about this actually in some of the boss guide stuff. So making sure that you can do that here is going to be ideal, my friends. If not, then what I would focus on is going to be that attack or crit, actually, because it has also got some scaling on attack, and crit is always nice. So you want to be very focused on that attack forward, but I would probably consider cooldown potentially here as well, because it does have a fairly high level or time on that cooldown for that 16 seconds. So prioritize water, damage resist if you're going to go into the PvP space. Otherwise, probably attack, and then once you're good there, probably move to crit. So that is, or crit, or cooldown. There we go. All right, so that's how you want to think about the biscuit. Once again, we have these lovely ones here, and we do have all of our other biscuits and topping guides here that you can check out, just like Menthol Cookie here and Seltzer. All right, so now what does that mean for our toppings? All right, so I still like a very attack-forward Seafarer, particularly for PvE. So in this case, I would highly recommend still being on attack with Raspberry. Now, a couple things here, though. Let's go ahead and back all the way out. You definitely can do this. You can use your water type ones. So we've got plenty of stored up ones here, as you can see. From over all this, we still have the sea salt toppings. Boom, sea salt toppings right there. So let's go ahead. We're gonna grab 5 of those. Perfect, because I got a bunch. So we're digging into the free Mythras space right now, going in and taking out of the storage. That's right. So what you're going to do here is make sure we have all of them right there. Actually, very nice. And did I grab a bunch of other ones? I did. Those are frosted. All right, so we're good. Here we go. All right, I feel a little bit better. And let's go grab our 5. There we go. To 12 auto, you can see what that's going to cost. Perfect. All right, and then let's put these on here. All right, so we are moving on up here when it comes to our resonant toppings. So absolutely do feel free to put resonant toppings in here. There's great ways, as you can see in those mysterious toppings, to make those things happen as well. And then in terms of our topping tart, what I'm also going to do is I am going to go on that right there into more attack. We got an epic one. I did grab some of those. You definitely want to make sure that you are participating in the guild battles and those things, because you can get some pretty awesome stuff from these. I think those butter rolls to help you get those, or butter ambers to get more of these, which is very, very key. All right, so back to it. Now that we have our resonant toppings, the key on the resonant toppings here is this. You do get those higher bonus effects. So you do want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that. Here we got attack, cooldown, and damage resist. Really kind of being the three. If you want to be very attack forward, be attack, crit, and cooldown in terms of these pieces. Now, this one's really nice. Attack, damage resist, crit. Here we got crit resist, cooldown, attack, attack speed, crit, more attack, lots of attack in here, okay? So one of the things on these is you don't have to just use the resonant. You can mix and match if you got some great ones, those kinds of things as well. And then the other piece is if you do want to split this for maybe half raspberry, half cooldown, you can absolutely do that. That's one of the nice things I like about the 6 set, is being able to activate the 3 on both. So just calling those out, we got a brand new awesome Sea Fairy here built for you, minus the water though on the Beascuit, which I definitely encourage. All right, so that is Sea Fairy. Those are the Beascuits, those are toppings, and those are the tarts with the new latest and greatest breakdown. Look at this, almost 1.5 million damage. Oh, I'm so excited. And let's go ahead and world exploration here. There it is right here. There's our second tip right there. Legendary Surging Beascuit, 127. Go after it, my friends. And we are going over here to Hall 8. Perfect. And we are in to win. All right, let's edit over here. And the great fun team as it stands. Skill elements. Let's get a water, grab Sea Fairy. All right, we got right there the crystal jam, so make sure that that's going. And we got our gear, as you saw right there. We're going to move over. Watch this. Boom. Much more damage. That's how much that attack makes a huge difference there. And switching over just like that. And then here we go. You can see exactly how this is going to look and how it's going to run here for us as well. We'll cool it down just a little bit. We got all these stacks. Huge damage. So now we're dropping from 16 to 12, okay? So one of the things with this particular cookie, hits really, really hard. Very, very hard. Now, we do hit more than one if you saw that attack as well, by the way, my friends. Lots of damage. Very mighty. We're going to save it for the last one here. Oh, maybe not. We might not be able to. Uh-oh. We had to do it. All right. So now let's see if we get enough in to knock out the bad boss here. One, and there it is. Look at that. Awesome. Almost 1 million damage. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Such a fun one there, my friends. It is ours. Look at that, Sea Fairy. You absolutely, positively crushed it. So much fun. And I'm so excited, if you couldn't tell, that Sea Fairy is back. Yes! All right, my friends.
Look at your face until dawn.
Perfect. We are totally set here today with our brand new updated gear guide for you, breaking down Sea Fairy, showing you some of the changes, walking through the moveset, and this cookie as well with the great, awesome new buffs, upgrades, whatever you want to call it, to make Sea Fairy a great cookie here once again, and redoing the guide for you with the biscuits, the toppings, and the tarts to make sure that you're set up to be successful with your particular gear when it comes to Sea Fairy. With that, thank you so much for tuning in. If you still got a question, if you got a comment, do let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and I appreciate your support, my friends. With that, until next time, keep on running.